Hello, this is Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. We do these YouTube videos maybe once a week or more, and if you like our videos, we would love it if you would subscribe. That helps us a lot, gets our name out there, and draws people to our shop and to our online store. So tell your friends, subscribe, we would love it. Today, I thought I would talk to you about reading yarn labels and how to figure out how much yarn to get for a pattern. And I know I've probably talked about this before, but I think this is something that bears repeating. So people come in and say, well, I want to do this project, and how much yarn do I need, and how much yarn is in the skein, and what is the gauge? So if you look, and Barocco is a good one to look at, they have information on the back. So one thing you can look at when you're picking yarn is the dye lot, which is right there. It is actually not on our price tag. People often think it's one of these numbers, but it's actually where it says dye lot. It's that number, and you of course want to pick the same dye lot for your project for all of the skeins. This also on the back gives you the care, so it'll tell you if it's superwash or not, and it tells you what's in the yarn, the acrylic, nylon, wool, and how much of each. Then if you look over here, there is a square, which you see on a lot of labels, not all of them, but it's a little gauge swatch square. This one is for crochet, and for those of you who are knitters, it's over here, and it tells you on the crochet, it tells you what size hook in millimeters and in US sizes, and over here for the knitting group, it tells you what size needle and in millimeters. Here, 6 millimeter is a size 10. And you always have to be very careful when you're looking at a pattern and when you're looking at yarn that you don't confuse millimeters with US numbers. They're very different. The millimeters, so a US 10 is a size 6 millimeter. If it doesn't say millimeter or US number, just has a number, needle 6, I think you wouldn't find that very often. But look at where the yarn is from. Look up on Ravelry whether it is millimeter or US numbers. You can make a big mistake because you can see 6 and 10 are very different. And this is a bulky yarn, so if I were looking at this and it didn't tell me, I saw 6 or 10, I would definitely choose the 10 because that's a bigger needle and you'd need that for this yarn. It also tells you over here the weight, and very often, and I'll show you in a minute, patterns will say 100 grams, and 3.5 ounces equals 100 grams, and 100 grams. And then below it says that is 135 yards or 125 millimeters. So to figure out if it just gave it in millimeters, you can see that the yardage is a greater number than in millimeters. So the formula is take the millimeters times 1.1 will give you the yards. So that's the translation for that. Now, this is, and it tells you it's made in Peru. One thing that might, it also gives you the gauge up here. It tells the knitting gauge is 3.5 equals 1 inch and over 4 inches. And these boxes are always a 4-inch square or 10 centimeters. Am I saying that right? So 10 centimeters equals 4 inches. And down here it says 14 stitches over 4 inches. So you take 14, divide it by 4, and you get 3.5 stitches per inch. So hopefully that's clear. Now, the deceptive thing about grams versus yardage, so it may tell you that you need 100 grams of something, but it doesn't necessarily translate well into 100 grams of some other yarn, because some yarns, though they knit at the same gauge, they weigh differently. So that's a different weight. So really what you want to find out is yardage. So you have to figure out how many yards are in your skein. And an example, I'll give you an example. This is 212 meters, this skein. This is 136 yards. This weighs 100 grams. This weighs 25 grams. So it's very, very different. So they don't translate well. What you always have to know is the yardage and of course the gauge. So the pattern that I've chosen is the Sunday cardigan from Petite Knits. And this is written in Danish, I think, and translated. So all of her patterns will tell you, I've chosen a size medium, and she gives the yardage amounts by telling you the number of grams. This is 400 grams you would need. And in this particular yarn, and this yarn, 160 meters is 100 grams. So I did the formula. I took 160 meters times 1.1, and this is actually 176 yards. If I would take, to find out how many of these skeins I would need, I would divide 400 by 100, which gives me 4 skeins, times 176. This is going to give me yardage, correct? So this is 24, 4 times 7 is 28, 30, and 4, so it's 704 yards is the total that I need. So then this is the yarn that I'm going to use, the Rowan Tweed Haze. And this has, these are hard to find on this, and they're written. So this is actually 120 meters or 131 yards. So I would take 704, divide it by 131. Who said you didn't have to know math to knit? So I would need approximately, I've chosen to make this sweater in the Rowan Tweed Haze. And I want to look on here to see how many yards are in this skein. And so there are 131 yards. So what I did was, again, we can just go back over this. This 160 meters equals 176 yards. And we decided we needed 4. So I'm going to take 4 skeins, and I'm going to multiply that by 176. So my total yardage that I need is 704. So what I'm going to do, I said that there were 131 yards per skein of the yarn I chose. I'm going to divide that into 704, and here, which is a little hard to see, it's 5.37 something. So what I really need are 6 skeins. of the Rowan Tweed Haze. And that's how you figure that out. So just to review what this whole exercise was, you need to be able to do a little bit of converting. And all of the yarns that we have in the shop have yardage on them. So you can look, they're on the labels, you can look at the labels. They're in different places on the label. You have to look a little bit. We're always happy to answer questions, but come in and look like you know something, that you're experienced and you've got a little knowledge behind you. So come in, and when you look for the yardage, and then you can try to do your math. We have calculators here. We can help you do that. But it makes it a lot easier, particularly if we're busy here in the shop helping other customers. You can do a little bit of stuff on your own. You can get a little bit ahead by looking at our website and look at the yarns. Most of the yarns in the shop are on the website, not all of them, but it tells you yardage, meters, gauge, and needle sizes. So you can look all of that stuff ahead of time. And of course, we've talked about before, you know, you're never going to, or not always going to knit with the exact same needle that the yarn recommends or your pattern recommends. That all depends on your gauge and the gauge swatch that you do and the kind of material you want it to be in the end. Lastly, I wanted to show you, we had a kit with 2 yarns held together before, and we've made up a new one. This is a great kit by Justina Lorkowski, and it's called the Empowering Beanie, and it's with 2 yarns held together, and each kit is a little bit different. We have some of the same yarns and some not. This is an alpaca and a mohair in this really pretty green. The pattern comes with the kit. So here are these beautiful pink tones. And if you get started on it right away, there's still time to wear a hat, or you'll have nice gifts. You can make a little, here's one pink with a white yarn, but you can be ahead on the gift giving thing by starting now. And this is like a navy blue, 2 blues. So you get these very cute little cables that you can do without a cable needle. We've, I think, explained that before. You can look back on our YouTubes to see how to do that. And just a few updates in the shop. We're getting more, we've gotten more of the LRA Cotton Denim DK, which is a lovely yarn to knit with for summer. We got a new shipment of Dos Tierros. We got a new shipment today of Lina in some beautiful spring colors. And 2 very exciting things coming up, and they're both in the mail, is Madeline Tosh sock. And we're getting pashmina, but they've been out of it at their warehouse, so we'll wait a little while for that. And also in the mail, coming from Europe, is La Bien Amie merino singles. So those all should arrive, I hope, sometime next week. We'll let you know. I'm sure you'll love to come in and see all their beautiful colors and beautiful yarns. So visit us soon. Don't forget, you can shop online anytime, day or night. And we hope you have a great week of knitting, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.